Today, we're stepping into one of the most terrifying scenarios humanity faces: the possibility of a nuclear war. Based on Annie Jacobsen's gripping book, Nuclear War: A Scenario, we'll explore minute by minute how such an event could unfold, catastrophic and irreversible. It's a stark reminder of just how fragile civilization is when faced with nuclear weapons. The unthinkable begins. North Korea launches a single nuclear missile heading straight for the United States. Within 3 minutes and 15 seconds, US early warning system detects the launch. Tensions skyrocket as military officials rush to verify the target and estimate potential casualties. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, the US president is alerted. It's a race against time. At 9 minutes, an attempt is made to intercept the missile heading for California. But it fails. A crucial moment is missed. Then, at the 23-minute mark, the missile strikes, exploding near the Diablo Canyon power plant in California, unleashing unprecedented destruction. By the 30th minute, the US retaliates with a massive strike against North Korea, sending 82 warheads. However, there's a devastating complication. The trajectory of US missile flies over Russia. As a result, Russian radars mistake it for preemptive attack from the United States. Now Russia is also in the crosshairs. At the 50th minute, Russia launches 1,000 nuclear warheads in response. The world spirals into chaos as every country with nuclear capabilities braces for the fallout, both literally and figuratively. North Korea too retaliates one last time with an electronic pulse weapon over the US, wiping out electronics and communications. 60 minutes to 72 minutes, it's game over. Within 72 minutes, nuclear conflict has erased the modern world. Major cities are turned into craters, and hundreds of millions are either dead or doomed to die from radiation. The survivors face the prospect of a nuclear winter, a famine, and the collapse of society as we know it. The horrifying scenario is based on the real-world policies and nuclear strategies that are still in place today. Jacobsen's book is a call to action. It forces us to confront the reality of nuclear deterrence, the idea that if one person makes the wrong decision, it could spell the end of civilization. Nuclear war has no winners, and in the end, it's humanity that pays the ultimate price. We are now at 72 minutes after the unthinkable, the launch of nuclear weapons. The world as we once knew it has ceased to exist. Let's walk through what happens after nuclear conflict brings humanity to the brink of extinction. Within just 1 hour, multiple cities has been hit. Major population centers like Washington DC, Moscow, and Pyongyang and others are now unrecognizable, reduced to craters with nothing but twisted steel and rubble where once stood symbols of modern civilization. Millions have died instantly from the blast, incinerated by temperature hotter than the sun's surface. Those who weren't caught directly by the explosions are either mortally wounded or exposed to extreme radiation levels. As the shock waves dissipate, a second wave of terror begins: radiation. In the immediate aftermath, survivors from the grim reality of radiation sickness, symptoms set in quickly, such as vomiting, severe burns, and internal bleeding. Fallout particles begin to descend from the sky like deadly snow, contaminating everything they touch. Cities once filled with life are now ghost towns, with radiation seeping into every corner. The sky begins to darken as massive amounts of dust, soot, and debris is blasted into the upper atmosphere. This is the beginning of what experts call a nuclear winter. With sunlight unable to penetrate the thick, ash-filled sky, temperature across the globe start to plummet. The climate is now severely disrupted. What crops weren't destroyed in the blast are now withering from lack of sunlight, and food becomes scarce. With no power grids, water supplies, or infrastructure left intact, societies rapidly begin to collapse. Food supplies dwindle and famine spreads. In cities far from the blast zone, civil unrest breaks out as resources run dry. People desperately search for food, water, and shelter. Governments, overwhelmed by the scale of the disaster, cease to function. The economic impact is devastating. Global trade grinds to a halt. Major financial centers like New York, London, and Tokyo have either been destroyed or left crippled by the fallout. Global markets already reeling from the shock collapse entirely. No longer are there functioning governments to provide aid or enforce law and order. The collapse is total. Anarchy reigns in most parts of the world. As time goes on, the planet begins to feel the full impact of nuclear winter. Temperatures plunge drastically, making agriculture nearly impossible. Millions more perish from famine, disease, and exposure to the elements. Those who survive must scavenge and adapt to this new reality. A barren, cold world where humanity's future is uncertain. The few remaining humans will live in an environment reminiscent of an ice age, with billions of tons of ash and soot blocking out the sun for years. The Earth's delicate ecosystem collapse. The oceans acidify from the fallout, marine life dies off, and the food chain disintegrates. With global biodiversity in rapid decline, the survivors may find themselves fighting not only other humans but also nature itself. Nuclear war is not just a destruction of cities, it's the end of civilization. What remains of humanity will have to rebuild from scratch, facing a planet that is hostile and unforgiving. As one of the Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev once warned, the survivors will envy the dead. This grim reality underscores why global leaders must take nuclear disarmament seriously. Once these weapons are unleashed, there's no turning back. The stakes are simply too high. Humanity's survival depends on preventing this nightmare scenario from becoming a reality. If this has opened your eyes, stay with us as we continue exploring global security, diplomacy, and the hope for a nuclear-free future. Until then, keep reimagining yourself and know that the power of change lies within you. Jai Hind.